Well, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. Hope you find you well. Today, well, you can see James here from Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, about a week ago, I recorded a video of my very special Thomas in the metallic paintwork. One of those is still for sale for £1,000, surprisingly enough, and yeah, it's not sold yet. Yeah, I did a bit of a tongue-in-cheek video on that one, saying how on earth can a Thomas the Tank Engine be worth £1,000? But one has actually sold for 250, which I'm very surprised at. But during that video, I mentioned about James. Now this has done, you know, been well used, well played with, well enjoyed, but is not running at the moment. So in that video, I said I was going to service it, which I'm going to do. But I thought, well, I might as well do it on camera and yeah, show you. But you know, if there's anybody who's interested, who hasn't seen how to service one of these before. So before I start, I'll just take it over to the track and show you what it's doing or what it's not doing, and then we'll come back here and make a start on giving it a little service. Well, before we start, let me demonstrate what it's doing, or should I say what it's not doing. So I've just put the power on, and you can see it kind of wants to go. A little bit of a couple of jolts there. Let's try the other way. Let's try this way. Yeah, you can see it's wanting to go, so it probably just needs a really good clean. The other thing, while I've got it at this angle, you can see here the paint down the side here. I'm going to fix that as well while I'm at it, touching the side of the tender and make that a little bit better. So yeah, let's take this back over to the bench and yeah, try and get this working a little bit better. Well, there you go. You can see it's just creeping. It wants to go, but yeah, it's not going to move. Now these just pop off on the back here. You just literally unclip them. Need to do it quite carefully just to make sure that you don't break. Some of them do have little clips on. This one doesn't. It just sits over the top, and yeah, the clips are actually on the side. So that's come away quite nicely. Now already I can see part of the problem. These little spring stays, if they're pushed in too far, they compress the spring onto the armature a little bit too much. So if I just pull those back a little way, that's a good start. What I want to do though is drop the motor down. I'm looking at the armature in there and it looks quite grubby, so I'm going to drop the motor out. Now, one of the things I am going to say before I go too far into this is I do these videos just because I enjoy doing them. They're not supposed to be how-to videos. If you want to find out how to do this properly, there are so many different videos on YouTube that people who really know what they're doing and don't make it up as they go along as I do, and they'll tell you exactly how to do this. But for me, I just enjoy doing this, and I do it on camera just to sort of demonstrate in some ways how easy it is really. So anyway, right, so I've got the body off. I've just taken the broken coupling out because I'm going to replace that. So all I do is put a little screwdriver down in here, and yeah, the motor just lifts straight out. And pop that to one side. That's just the carrier. And then on this side of the motor, what I'm going to do is just lift these two back like so. One there and one there. Remove the brushes. Let me just get some tweezers, make sure I do this correctly. One spring, two springs. Okay, just move those to one side, and then the brushes should just drop out. Oh, I've lost a tyre off a wheel as well. Okay, that's not too much of a problem. That should just push back on. It's not a driving wheel. Oh, it is a driving wheel. Okay, let's push it back on and see if it stays. Yeah, that's not too bad. Wheels aren't too bad. I will give them a little clean in a moment, but let's do the armature first. So once the brushes are out, I'm going to take a screwdriver. I'm just going to lift the side off the motor very, very gently. Right, and because I don't want to disturb any of the wires, I am going to undo these two screws at the end. Look, all they tight. There's one. And two. Right. I can now lift the side off the motor. Like that. And yeah, I can see the armature's not too bad. It's quite clean in there actually. We'll give it a clean. So if you are doing this yourself, contact cleaner. So you can see my one is actually made by WD-40. It's not the oil. Do not use the oil. The oil on these engines, basically it eats into the plastic. It's not the right stuff. This is a contact cleaner. So basically electrical contact cleaner. There's many different makes on the market. Mine just happens to be WD-40. And all I'm going to do is just use this onto the surface there. Excuse my hand lifting up onto the shelf, just a little cotton bud. And yeah, just give this a very quick clean. You see the muck coming off of it. Not really a lot to it, to be perfectly honest with you. Just a good clean all the way around. And I'll just get a bit of cloth just so this doesn't go everywhere. And literally just rinse it through, get all the muck out of there. And then with the wheels, I'm just going to do exactly the same with these. And again with the electrical cleaner, just go around the surface of the wheels. You see a little bit of muck coming off, not a great deal. Now the reason I say my videos are, just me enjoying the hobby and not, how-to videos, is because a lot of the time, you can find different things in here, but 99% of the time, it is just a good clean. Nothing more than that will bring these engines back to life. But sometimes there are other faults, so yeah, I do put a little bit of a caveat on. Now, one of the things also to be careful is at least one of the tyres should have a traction band around it, like a rubber band. Check that for any fraying. Might need replacing, especially if your engine's a little bit old. This one doesn't look too bad actually, so I'm not going to replace that. But yeah, you may need to replace the traction tyre. This one looks like it should have had two on here. There's one missing from the rear there, so I can tell that because there's a little flange. So I'll go and see if I've got a spare traction tyre to put on there in a moment. In terms of how it's running, just checking that everything's free moving. That all looks absolutely fine. So let's give it a good oil, and then we can put the tender back together. So I'm just going to give the little bearing in the middle here a tiny bit of oil. Now, there are many different oils for steam engines. I wouldn't recommend using 3-in-1, it's just a little bit too thick, but something like a sewing machine oil, or if you can get to your local model shop, they'll advise on, there's, like I say, there's plenty of model oils, but they'll advise which is the best one for your needs. I don't want to disturb too much because I know it's just probably a little bit of a connection problem or a tiny bit of dirt that just needs a little clean up. There it goes. Right, just slide the side of the motor back on. Okay, so I will put this electrical connector back on the end, just checking that it's all nice and clean. Yeah, it's not too bad. So that's sat round this way, and these go down onto the inside of the wheels. Actually, what I'm going to do Just going to give them a tiny little bias outwards, and I will give them a little clean. That one, this one's a little bit grubby. Get that one off. That's the inside of the wheels. That one's not too bad, this one's not good. That's fine. Okay, so let's get the brushes back down onto the motor. So each one of these goes down behind the wheels, and then we do up the screws. Right, so let's give this a little oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to oil all of the rotational parts, so down on the bearings here and the centre wheel. You see how I'm going through the chassis. A little bit there, a little bit here. And in terms of the motor, I'm just going to oil behind both of the cogs here. A little bit on the centre cog, not too much oil, just a tiny little bit. I'll put a little bit on the teeth and a little bit on the bearing at the bottom here. Right, let's get the brushes back in. So just have a look at these. These look in very good condition. Okay, so brushes, when they go back in, do you know, I don't think this has had a lot of use looking at it. When the brushes go back in, let me bring this up to the camera a little bit. So I'll just hold it in some tweezers. You can see there's a tapered end. Make sure that's centered on the frame. You can see that, I'll just bring my finger here so the camera focuses in on it. You can see there's a tapered end at this end. That's the end of the spring. The flat end goes onto the armature. So they go in flat end first. Let me slide them both in. There's one. Spring back in. And that just rests onto there. Right, and then you literally push these back down, bend them back down, making sure that the spring picks up on the little tab. I'm just going to pop that spring in there. Okay, and just bend this tab down. Oh, not the spring out. Just bend that down so that it picks up on it. Now I just want to do these screw up on this side, because there's something moved. I'm not sure what's moved. Seems all very loose. That's better, that just needed tightening down. Right, so I'm going to push these tabs back down a little way, but not push them all the way so that they're really tight. So again, you can see just here how there is a gap. So you're relying on the springs to push the brushes. If these are pushed all the way in, they cause all kinds of problems. So just to about there, I think. Right, so that's all serviced. It feels a lot freer, actually. Feels a lot freer. Right, next. Let's give that a little bit of power. Oh, look at that. Just with a tiny bit of cleaning, making sure all your contacts are clean. Oh, it stopped on the points. Oh. Yeah, very nice. Right, let's get this back into the chassis and clean the body. Right, next job, and this is where 99% of the problems arise from, are these pickups in between the tender and the loco, and straight away I can see on the loco, don't know if you can see just here, this is bent backwards, this little tab here. So on your pickup you got a pin in the middle which takes the current from one side of the polarity, and then you've got this plate which takes the polarity from the other side. And then on the loco you've got power coming from one set of wheels and the other set of wheels. One will go to the clasp around the side here, and the other will go onto the top here to touch onto the plate. And with that bent backwards, you can see that's obviously already causing a problem. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this pin because that's in an awful state. And to do that, I'm just going to use a little bit of wet and dry, but a needle file will do perfectly well. A nail file will do perfectly well. And I'm just taking off the worst of the muck, not too much, but just to bring that back to bare metal. Right, I'll drop the body off of this. The only reason I'm doing that is because I want to go and clean it. If I can see, there's a screw fixing. It's down underneath the front pony truck, so let's remove the pony truck. Undo this screw. Put the body to one side for cleaning. And then let's have a look at the pickups on here. So there's clearly, first of all, bending this tab back the right way is always going to be a good start. And then again, I'm just going to clean very gently all of the contact points. So I've cleaned up the pickup between the tender and the loco. I don't plan to do much more to the loco other than oil it, so let's give this a little bit of an oil. One there, one there, one there, and there, down the back of the wheels. Okay, now I'm just going to give the motion a little bit of lubrication as well. Now, right, before I pop the tender back together, now my plan was to touch this in with some paint, but it's actually painted black and then the red is on top. So when I got my fingernail on this, it's actually the red paint that's flaking off. Now I'm never going to get a colour match with the red that's on here. So I'm actually thinking the best thing for me to do is actually just remove the red paint from the side here. I'm literally breaking it away with my fingernail. Take that all off and just leave it in black. I think that's the best. You know, it'll hide all the sins, if you like, of the flaking paint. I think that will be the best option. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, as I say, well, you can see, look, it's just coming off with my fingernail. There's no big deal at all, is it? So take that completely off, and then I'll reassemble the tender. Let's do this side as well. So I think what I'll do, I'll just get the rest of this paint off, then I'm going to take the tender and the body and this part as well, take them through, give them all a good clean in soapy water, make sure there's no flakes of red paint left, get rid of them all off of there, and then we'll reassemble it in a moment. But there you go, that looks better. As I say, just taken the red paint off of there and left it as black, so that's fine. Right, let's get this reassembled. So first of all, we put the coupling into the tender like so, and this just slots in from one end, rotates round, and then clips clips in at the other end like that. Body, and it's still drying a little bit, there's some little wet patches on there. I'll just try and take those off a little bit. There we go. And that fits around this way. Now up my scrap bin, I found a new coupling, so I'm going to drop that onto the back there with the screw. That fixes the coupling. So new parts for this, traction tyre and a coupling. And I did straighten one of the springs off camera. Take that back off, pop the body back on. Come up beautifully. Really, I love these. Look at the face on that. So at this point I will say none of my videos are made for children. But obviously with this being Thomas the Tank Engine, it may get a younger audience. So I just want to caveat it and say that you know, if you are one of the younger audience members, please go and check with your parents before you start taking your trains apart. And yeah, obviously let them know if you are using any tools, and get some make sure you're supervised. Let's just get that back in there. That's it, there it goes. Do that body screw up. I'll put the pony truck back on. And we can go and give this a run and close out the video. Well, just a quick demonstration there of what half an hour on the bench with some electrical cleaner can do. Brings these locos back to life in no time at all. And 90% of the trains that I take apart, it is just cleaning. Literally just clean through the contacts. Occasionally there is you know, a short circuit somewhere. You just got to remember that you know, the power comes from one rail and from the other rail, and they make their way to the motor down two different paths, and just make sure those paths don't touch. And yeah, there's not really much else to it. So yeah, pleased to see this one running again, and looked good with the coaches behind it. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and why not check out the channel? Lots on there. If you can subscribe, I'd be really grateful. And with that, we'll leave this there, and I'll just say thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.